It's important to look at the state of the nation in which the politics are practiced. This week, a group of mayors met with the president and other administration officials to express their view of just what's going on in the cities. After their meetings, they spoke to reporters at the White House.
85% of the jobs that will be created in the coming year will be created in our cities.
It's about supporting funding in cities for infrastructure renewal. It's about job training. It's about making sure that our young people are excelling in secondary and post-secondary education opportunities.
The health of our country is measured by our cities.
Baltimore, we've seen a lot of success with putting young people to work, creating positive pathways for them to provide for their families and to create careers.
I'm really proud to be standing here with the mayors because every time I meet with them, we remind each other that we do not live in the theoretical world of tomorrow. We live in the real world of today. And I remind everybody about the term, the fierce urgency of now, that we really cannot wait.
We come from cities where we see every day the impacts of unemployment. The lines at the soup kitchen, the numbers of people who are homeless, the lack of hope that so many of our citizens have. And the point I would like to make is that the president's been going around the country saying, we can't wait. And we're here as mayors saying we can't wait either.
You don't get much closer to the American people than the mayors of these great cities that make up this great country. And we see every day, we look in the eyes of despair, and we look in the eyes of children and adults who are saying we need help.
Against the backdrop of cities and their people needing help, there's a growing conflict between rich and poor in America. A poll this month from the Pew Research Center finds that about 2/3 of the public, that's 66%, believe there are very strong or strong conflicts between the rich and the poor. That's up 19 points since 2009. When you break that down, or that increase, if you will, black folks believe there are conflicts between rich and poor that increased by 8%. But for white Americans, the increase was 22%. This conflict over income inequality, as the Democrats call it, or class warfare, as the Republicans see it, is already a major theme in the 2012 election. But this battle has been going on in America for years. And one of the foremost generals in that war was the man we honor this month, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yet why have we chosen to portray Dr. King as a soft, gentle, go-along-to-get-along civil rights leader, as opposed to the radical force for change? Syracuse University professor Boyce Watkins, he reminded us this week that Dr. King was way more than just the man of peace we remember. He was an uncompromising warrior for economic justice. And Boyce joins us right now from Syracuse University. And Boyce, welcome back to Washington Watch. Now,
thank you for having me.
I love your piece because this was one of the things that I talked about in my speech when I spoke to Cuyahoga Community College in Cleveland, that I think we continue to make a mistake by trying to portray Dr. King as somebody who just wanted all of us to hold hands when he was talking about the very issues of income inequality, talking about the gaps between the rich and the poor then in 1963, even at the time of his death, that we're discussing right now.
Absolutely. I think that, unfortunately, we kill Dr. King a little bit more every year. There are people who have no problem celebrating him and his legacy as long as he and his legacy remain firmly in the grave. The reality is that you should be able to tell, just like with Christianity, you should be able to tell a man's faith by how he lives, not what he markets to you. Well, if you look at our country and you look at how we live, does that in any way connect to the legacy of Dr. King? You look around the country, 40% of all black children are in poverty. The last 25 years, the richest 20% of Americans have hoarded 96% of the wealth. We're going around the world declaring war on other countries just to get their oil. The median net worth of a black woman in America is $5. You can keep going down the list. So the fact is that there's almost nothing you can say about America and the way we define our policies and the way we treat each other that says that we have any respect for Dr. King.
You know, I thought it was interesting this week. I thought it was totally ignorant to see Florida Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll, a Republican, say that Governor Rick Scott was in the mold. He actually embodied the values and the vision of Dr. King by choosing her to be his running mate because it was about the content of her character, not the color of her skin. And I'm saying, wow, just that one line somehow defined everything King stood for. And so you see this all the time. And so how do we get folks, though, to understand that we've got to go beyond the speeches of King, go beyond the videos or the film of the marches, and understand that if we are not confronting the issue of education and not confronting what is happening income-wise, we are absolutely failing, and all that we're doing are putting on great programs that do nothing to change people and motivate and move them to act.
Well, we got to remember, a lot of people have made Dr. King into this cute little caricature. He's nothing more than a McDonald's commercial in the eyes of some people. I think that what we have to do as a community is make a progressive effort to bring Dr. King back to life. That means we have to understand that there was a reason why he was unpopular on the day that he died. It was because he took a stand, a relentless stand on an issue that people didn't agree with. He was a little bit of a troublemaker when he had to make trouble in order to do what was right. So when you hear people give these nice, polite little speeches and say, oh, Dr. King believed that everyone should hold hands and we shall overcome and we should all get along, we got to realize that there's another side of Dr. King that says you have to fight for what is right. And I hate breaking this news to people, but the fact is that Dr. King is gone. He's not coming back. He ran a really tough leg of that first leg of the relay race. He handed the baton to us, and we threw that baton in the grass and didn't continue the race. We've got to pick it back up and keep it moving.
Few seconds left. On Tuesday, the president will give his State of the Union address. I criticized him last year for no mention of the poor in that particular speech. I do believe that after Occupy Wall Street, I would be shocked, Boyce, if we don't hear a significant portion of that speech deal with income inequality, deal with the poor, deal with those who have been impoverished as a result of this tough economy. Do you expect to hear the exact same thing on Tuesday?
I expect him to hit that issue. Occupy Wall Street opened that door. Also, we have to remember last year, President Obama was the first Democratic president since Harry S. Truman not to mention poverty in the State of the Union address. I hope he doesn't make that mistake again this year. That would be tragic.
All right, Boyce, always a pleasure. Look forward to having you back in the studio. Thanks a bunch.